Deep in the heart of the dense jungle, there was a legend that had been passed down from generation to generation. The story was about a man who had gone mad after being stranded in the jungle for years. According to the legend, he had become feral and would attack anyone who dared to venture into his territory. The locals called him the Jungle Man, and no one knew if the legend was true or if it was just a myth to scare off outsiders. But that didn't stop a group of adventurous travelers from setting out to explore the jungle and uncover the truth. The group consisted of 5 people: Sarah, Tom, Mia, Jack, and Rachel. They were all experienced hikers and had been planning this trip for months. They were determined to find the Jungle Man and see if the legend was true. The group set out early in the morning, armed with everything they would need for their journey. They had enough food and water to last for a week, and they had all the necessary equipment to camp in the jungle. As they hiked through the dense foliage, they marveled at the beauty of the jungle. The trees towered above them, and the sound of exotic birds filled the air. But as they walked deeper into the jungle, the beauty gave way to something much more ominous. They could hear strange noises in the distance, and they started to feel as though they were being watched. The group pushed on, determined to find the Jungle Man and solve the mystery once and for all. As the group set up camp for the night, they heard something moving in the bushes. They quickly gathered around the fire, hoping to scare off whatever was out there. But as the noise grew louder, they realized that it was not an animal. A figure emerged from the darkness, covered in leaves and dirt. The Jungle Man had appeared before them, and they were frozen with fear. The Jungle Man let out a guttural scream, and the group scattered, running in all directions. They thought they had lost him, but as they regrouped, they saw him coming towards them. He was covered in scars and had wild, untrimmed hair. He looked like he hadn't seen a human being in years, and the group knew they were in grave danger. The group tried to reason with the Jungle Man, but he seemed to have lost the ability to communicate. He would just stare at them with his wild eyes and let out a deep growl. The group realized that they needed to get out of the jungle as soon as possible, but they were lost. They had wandered too far from their starting point and had no idea which way to go. The Jungle Man seemed to be following them, and they were running out of time. They decided to split up, hoping to confuse him and make their escape. Sarah and Mia ran in one direction, while Jack, Tom, and Rachel went in another. They ran as fast as they could, hoping that they would be able to find a way out of the jungle. As they ran, they heard the Jungle Man getting closer. They could hear his ragged breathing and the sound of leaves crunching under his feet. Just when they thought they were done for, they saw a clearing up ahead. They sprinted towards it, hoping that they would find a way out. As they emerged from the jungle, they found themselves on the edge of a cliff. The view was breathtaking, but they had no time to admire it. The Jungle Man was still hot on their heels. With nowhere else to go, they jumped off the cliff and into the river below. They swam for what felt like hours, but eventually, they reached the shore. They were battered and bruised, but they were alive. The group never spoke of their encounter with the Jungle Man again. They all went their separate ways and tried to forget the terror they had experienced in the jungle. But the legend of the Jungle Man lived on. The locals continued to tell the story of the feral man who haunted the jungle, and no one ever dared to venture into his territory again. The group had learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, the legends are true, and it's best to leave them alone. The jungle was not a place for the faint of heart, and they were lucky to have made it out alive. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and be sure to tune in for more tales of the unknown and the unexplained.